only inspire people can inspire people, man. It is, that's what feeds you. See, I'm gonna tell you something. You can be inspired by somebody that's taking you to jail. That's deep.
When God had gave me that epiphany or that revelation, I called one of my buddies that is one of my best friends at the department. Even he was kind of taken aback by it. But I've realized over the course of my career, God has been preparing me every single day. If I can go back and tell you guys, I mean, we don't have a lot of hours, but there have been a lot of times that I've actually been called out. I've been made fun of. I've been asked, what are you doing? I can't tell you. I remember, I never forget, I had received the Officer of the Year award, and I was only like 2 years on, and what should have been probably one of the best moments of my life, it was kind of like it wasn't, only because, like high school, the award names got out. The people that were going to receive the awards got out. Like, for whatever reason, it got leaked. And so people found out who was getting what award. And I never forget, one of my supervisors called me in the office and he was like, Ryan, I got good news and bad news. And he was like, and I was like, okay, cool. Just hit me with the good news first. He was like, the good news is you're going to receive an award that's a really highly sought after award. And I was like, okay, what's the bad news? He was like, the bad news is that somehow it got leaked and people around the department have heard about it. And I've been hearing a lot of chatter of people talking about you. And so, anyways, you fast forward to the award ceremony, I end up getting Officer of the Year. And I'll never forget standing on stage and just feeling upset. And people asked me after, like, why did you look like you were upset or angry up there? And I was like, because I'm receiving probably one of the most prestigious awards that you'll ever receive in your career. And yet I'm looking at an audience of people that were backstabbing me and clapping for me at the same time. And that single day taught me the biggest lesson I'll probably learn in my life, is that I don't stand and receive awards for them. I receive it from my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, one, and I do it because, two, I'm not here to please everybody. And sometimes being popular is not about being popular all the time. So there were situation after situation after situation that I've endured that have strengthened me to realize that I'm not here to please other people. I'm here to do what's right, and I'm here to call out the wrong. So when it came to the other day when I had to take a knee, even though it wasn't the popular thing amongst my peers, I knew it was the right thing to do amongst my peers. And it was tough. Don't get me wrong, it was tough. But I'm an athlete. I'm a former athlete. I played college football. I played at UNLV. And that athletic side of me, that competitive side of me was like, and even growing up, and I love my mom and dad dearly, that part of me was like, man, I want to please my dad. So for me, it was, I want to please my Father in heaven. And for me, I don't want to make a mistake. I didn't want to, that moment that you had your opportunity, say I missed it because I wavered. And so I shifted my prayer from, man, God, do I got to do this, to, okay, give me the strength to do it and don't let me waver when it happens. And I knew when it happened. I knew when the moment was right, and I did it. And I could tell you a situation. I could tell you guys a story. I don't know if you guys want to hear it, but so I want to show you how things connect. So when I became a police officer, I was always like, God, just show me, put me in the direction you want me to go. So I'll never forget this situation. There was a time where I went on a call for service where a guy, his daughter had called because he had hit her. So we get there, and when we get there, we found out that, sure enough, the dad hit his daughter and caused her to bleed a little bit in her face. The story behind it was the daughter had been sneaking boys into the house. The daughter was calling the mom the B word. The daughter was doing all this crazy stuff, and dad just had it up to here and lost his mind. So me and dad got to talking, and I'm like, man, like, this is a good man right here. This is a good man. Just bad and unfortunate circumstances. So I ended up being the second officer. I wasn't the one in charge. So ultimately what ended up happening is we had to arrest that guy, but we treated him with respect. I was like, hey man, let me walk you to the car. We were talking about Pastor Evans actually, because he actually had some stuff on in his house. And I was like, oh man, like he gets down Pastor Evans. So we're talking. So long story short, we walk him to the car, we arrest him. And then as I'm getting ready to leave, I just felt like the spirit inside of me say, go back to that house, go back and pray for that family. Because it was like the mom, and they had like 4 kids. So I was like, all right. So I went back. I went to that. And it was hard too, because these are people, mind you, these are people I don't know. So I went back in that house, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry guys, but for whatever reason, I feel like God's just calling me to pray with you guys. And the mom immediately was like, I was praying that you were going to come back in here. And so at that point in time, all the kids were split. You had two kids that were in favor of, a girl calling the police, and then you had two kids that were like, why'd you call the police on dad? And they were just arguing back and forth. I was like, hey, you guys mind if we just grab hands and pray? So we prayed. So the mom was like, thank you so much. It brought peace. I went back and told Pops, like, hey, man, before we take you, I just wanted to let you know I went and pray for your family. I'll pray for you. So fast forward 6 months. So me and my wife were getting ready to go on vacation. We're going to Hawaii. And, me being on, I'm not to bring up stereotypes, but me being on CP time, I was running late. I told her, I was like, hey, we're going to be fine, babe. I was like, if we leave for the airport about like hour and a half, we should be good. So we drove to the airport and we drove to LAX, which LAX is probably one of the most busiest airports in the country. And we got to the airport literally about like 45 minutes to 55 minutes before our flight was scheduled to take off. And we were at the front gate. And I'm in my mind thinking like, man, my wife is going to kill me. So we got in that airport, and as soon as we're walking through to go in, I see this guy that I recognize. I was like, hey, what's going on, man? I can't really talk right now. Got to go check my stuff. I was like, give me a second. Let me go check in. So I went and go checked in. And as I'm walking back, I see the guy that I recognized, or that he recognized me. And I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? So then when I started talking to him, I immediately realized it was a guy that I had arrested whose family I prayed for. And mind you, I live about an hour away from LAX. And LA airport is a big airport. And so out of all places, I see this guy and he works for the airlines that I'm flying out of. So he's like, hey, Ryan, man. I was like, how are you doing? He's like, man, it's been a tough road, but man, I just want to thank you, man. It's because of you that me and my family are on our track to get better, right? So then he was like, what you doing here? I was like, man, you ain't gonna believe this. Me and my wife running late, but we're supposed to be going to Hawaii. So it reminded me of like a movie. We're like running through the airport, all these like strollers and everything. He was like, man, come here. So he took us all the way past all the lines in the airport. We went right to the front. I checked our stuff in. And then when we had to go through security, he was like, man, go this way. So we went that way. And my wife was I told her to go before me because we got to get there. And so right when we got up there, I went through security. I bypassed the whole line. And then right when we got there, the lady was like, hey, wait. Where are you going? And I was like, oh, I'm going to there. She was like, no, you guys got to go wait like everybody else. She was like, all right, you guys go. And everybody else beyond this point has to wait in the rest of the line like everybody else. Long story short, fast forward, we got through security checkpoint. Some guy was like, hey, you guys running late? We were like, yeah. He was like, let me drive you to your gate. We were the last people to board that plane. As soon as we got on that, when we went to our gate, there was nobody outside. Everybody was on the plane. As soon as we sat down in our seat, the plane took off and we were on time. But the whole lesson was that for me was like, wow, you see what happens when you're faithful. And had I not been faithful, had I not answered the call, that probably would have never happened. Out of all gates, out of all times, out of all people was meant for this part. And so that kind of goes, I fast forward that to this story is like that situation the other day when I had to take a knee was one of those times that I needed to answer the call. And I did not want to be the guy that didn't answer the call. And now God's like, well, I can't use you like that. I thought I could use you, but I can't use you anymore. And so sorry for being long-winded, but I had to share that with you guys.
No, man, that was a powerful story, and I love the detail. Because you know what? We say this, man. We say only inspired people can inspire people. That's one of the things I tell people. Only inspired people can inspire people, man. It is, that's what feeds you. See, I'm going to tell you something. You can be inspired by somebody that's taking you to jail. That's deep. But yeah, the whole story, I'm loving it. But you can be inspired by someone who's saying, I'm going to uphold my duty, but I'm going to make sure I uphold your humanity. Then I'm going to step further. I'm going to push you into spirituality. I'm going to climb these steps with you so that as we go through this, we go through this. See, that's the other point. That's the other point, right? See, it's not y'all going through this. We going through this. Can I interrupt? Because I don't know what with the kids in it. But can I be a part of this solution that is transformative? See, and I'm gonna say this too, and I'll stop. But listen, we have as a society stopped believing in redemption so much that we laugh at it when we see it, or it had to be some guy. Like that can't be the real him. I want everyone to listen to me. Take it from me. Take it from your brother. Take it from an OG. Take it from your brother. That number one, he's authentic. But there are people who are truly authentic, and it's not about the likes. It's not about the photo ops. It's not about it's about that certain people are driven by call and cause. and they don't stop because the call gets heavy or the cause gets complicated. See, they actually start at that moment. And that's what separates us from others. And I'm not just talking about he and I. I'm saying that's what separates those who really see it. And I see it in this, I see it in him, but I see it in this conversation. And so I'm hoping that people are inspired and believe, man, and believe that transformation is coming. This is kind of like COVID. We don't have a cure, but we have a commitment to flatten the curve. We have a commitment to go all in. See, that's what this is. We all the way in. We not stopping. So that's what this is about for us and for someone who may not understand it. It might be somebody who just really don't understand this moment. Take these nuggets and really build again.
And it's so important too, because what we're seeing when people are reacting based from an emotional state right now. And the detriment behind that is that you have two polar extremes. There is no in between. They've erased the middle. So you have on one end, they're talking about, defunding police. They just dismantled the police department in Minneapolis today, which my question now is like, okay, you dismantled that. Well, what now? I mean, we all saw it when COVID happened. The first week that COVID happened, people were rushing grocery stores and couldn't act right. We saw what the Popeyes chicken sandwich, when Popeyes came out with that chicken sandwich, we were seeing videos of folks fighting each other in Popeyes over a chicken sandwich. So we all know that if we're left to our own demise, it's going to be chaos. And that's the sad part. And so you get rid of a police department because you had a heinous act by a police officer that didn't represent a majority of people. And what we did is we went to the extreme polar opposite and said, we're just going to get rid of the police altogether. But then you have the far right of it is saying, well, I'm not kneeling, I'm not taking a knee because I don't stand by that. And that's where, we have to be able to say, okay, let's stop reacting based off of emotion. Let's put our emotions aside, like we talked about at the beginning of this podcast or this video. Let's drop our pride for a second and think logically about it. Like, how can we navigate? And that's, you lead with empathy and you lead with love. We need police officers. We without a doubt. Like, when I would hate to leave my house right now and feel like my family, my wife and kids are not protected because the police department doesn't exist anymore. But at the same time, when we do show up on a call, it's an obligation as us as officers to drop our pride and empathize with the people that we are serving. We can't always get caught up in our own emotions based off of the last call we were on, even though it's hard sometimes. But we can't sit here and just and write everybody off. Oh, this guy is a turd or this guy is that. No, lead with the same empathy. So we need both to coincide with each other. But now what we created is two polar extremes. And if we keep doing this, we're going to be living in some very, very detrimental times because we're reacting based off of emotions.
Right.